work according to our time. So I'm very grateful to be calling upon Dr. N. Zengeni and Ms. Bocello from Botswana, I think, from the name. And we encourage such kind of collaboration in research across countries so that we may have even a static or a global approach to research, and so that we may share ideas. And their title is Hospitality Stakeholders' Perceptions Towards Graduates' Employability in Botswana. And I'm sure they are ready and they are up. Thank you. Our hands together for our presenters.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, morning. Yes. I'm a lecturer and I am a very happy person. Tourism industry is about happiness. So it will be very sad for me if I present before some sad faces. So please smile like that sister of mine is smiling. Thank you for smiling. Yeah. So my name is Dr. Zengeni from Chinhoyi University of Technology, and it's a great honor to be part of this symposium. Whilst we are waiting for our technicians to begin the slideshow, I'm going to present on a paper. Right. The next slide, please. That's our title. Hospitality Stakeholders' Perceptions Towards Graduates' Employability in Botswana. So just felt that before we talk about the quality of jobs, are the graduates themselves employable? That's the beginning question. Are they employable? Us as universities, are we teaching the right skills so that these people can now be absorbed into industry and enjoy these quality jobs that we have heard from the presenter from the International Labour Organization? So that's my student from Botswana, and I'm the supervisor for this project. Right. Next slide, please. Right. Our presentation outline is like this. We've got the abstract, the introduction, background, methods, results, discussion, conclusions, and as all academics, we respect other people's work, which is the references list. Right. So in terms of the abstract, our story here is simple. We are presenting a problem in a country called Botswana, where we've got about 23 institutions of higher learning or institutes that train. So we've got a country where we've got about 23 institutions of higher learning that train hospitality and tourism graduates, and they train thousands of graduates out of that of those colleges. But at the end of the day, only a few of them are absorbed into the industry. Why? Because the graduates are supposedly not employable. That's what they say. These are people. So we carried out a study in Botswana where we interviewed. We did a qualitative methodological approach where we collected data from 30 stakeholders, and the findings indicate that for sure it's confirmed that from the perspectives of the employers, these university graduates are not employable. They don't have the skills that we have to look for. So in terms of brief recommendations from the abstract, we see that there's need for us as academics to start offering technical-based modules. I know we have had that approach where we think that we are training managers, so we focus on the theory. But the question always arises that after you have trained the manager, where can they go to manage something that they don't know? So that is the brief abstract. Next slide, please. Right. And in terms of introduction, I think the VCA started the ball rolling by giving us those statistics. So for that, worldwide, we've got about 319 million jobs from the tourism industry. That those jobs have been created. And we see that maybe by 2029, we are going to have about 154 million jobs that will be there in the industry. Then in Botswana, we find that the industry caters for about 26,000 jobs for the industry, and this is expected to grow per annum until they get about 42,000 jobs in 2028. Right. Next slide. Right. Then in terms of employment categories, the jobs that we are talking about here in the tourism industry. This one we got from the ZTA. They did a manpower survey in 2014, and these are some of the job categories that we find in the tourism industry. Sales and marketing, buyers, cashiers, security guards, accountants, all those jobs that you can see there in the industry. And I have tried to do a pictorial presentation of these jobs, as you can see on the next slide there. Right, so we have got so many opportunities for us to be employed as students, as lecturers, as we are training our students. We find that they've got so many job opportunities. The jobs are there, but the question still remains: are these graduates that we are training, we are teaching in universities, employable? So that comes the problem. So far, that there is a high level of unemployment among hospitality management graduates in Botswana, despite the hospitality industry having the growing need of qualified and skilled workforce. The need is there. They need skilled people. But the question is, these people that we are churning out of industry, are they employable? So we've got this scholar Chabongwa 2014 who laments that the hospitality tourism graduates in Botswana are failing to secure jobs in the employment sector after completing their 4-year degree programs. Spent 4 years at college, then at the end of the day, we find that they are not employable. And I think this one is also a big problem that we have found ourselves in here in Zimbabwe. From where I come from, we find that we've got maybe students who graduated in 2014, but still they are not employed. So that's the question that we are asking ourselves. So on the next slide, I've presented a very sad situation and a big question that I'm asking you as our delegates. That as someone graduates from the engineering faculty, they are called an engineer. Someone from law, faculty of law, they are called what? Lawyers. Someone from accountants, they are called what? Accountants. Yes. Creative art and design. We've got people who are good in skills, who can create something very, very creative. I was just talking to Mr. JJ, who was saying, all this facility that you see here is coming out of our own hands, out of our own creative people. So as hospitality people were asking that same question. When you have graduated a degreed hospitality graduate, what do you call them? You call them a manager. Managing what? Managing something that they don't know. So that is the question that we are asking. So it's a food for thought. In terms of a literature review for this presentation, we find that we just touched a few aspects that we need to look at and consider seriously. There are a number of models that are there when you are training hospitality and tourism personnel. We've got what we call Chain and Groves model, which has got 3 approaches in itself. Where it looks at the first model is where you have got a balanced approach in terms of tourism and hospitality training. What we are saying is that hospitality and tourism is a broad field. So when you are training, you need to focus to give a balanced approach to both tourism and hospitality. Then M2 looks at its school towards tourism modules, where you put more focus on the tourism aspect. Then the third approach is where you have got a modules maybe towards skewed towards tourism. Right. Then we've got a Reggio and Dallas approach in 1999. These ones they came up with 4 approaches where they look at the craft and skills approaches. So you have to decide, I want to make sure that my graduates are skilled. They've got the technical skills. Then they looked at the tourism approaches, the food systems, home economics approaches. And I remember when we were still here at college, Dr. Mtao was one of my lecturers and would laugh when she comes to teach us what was called elements of gastronomy. Yes, yeah, would say, we are not going to do that. But we are here now because of here. So thanks to her. Right. Then we've got a course model which looks at 26 elements, but they reduce them to 4 again. We are looking at their general education, business education, tourism education. So that's why we've got a mix of accounting modules and business management modules in the tourism. So that's another approach. Then the last one is the REGIS model, which is a hybrid tourism and hospitality education model. And in this one now, they brought all those models together. And I find that they look at the hotel school model, like I said earlier on, the general management model, then we've got the liberal arts program with the tourism focus. Now we are now merging those two, even borrowing aspects from the creative arts sector, where we borrow lecturers from creative art and design so that they can come and teach us in the tourism industry. And I think for those ones, we are moving towards the events management program. In fact, that is heavily borrowing from the creative art and design. This is the approach that we are taking. Right. So there's this model that you can also see there. It's from the United States Department of Labor, 2019, where they say when they're training graduates, these are the 4 areas that you need to look at: the personal effectiveness competencies, the academic competencies, the workplace competencies, then the industry sector competencies. So at the end of the day, when you are churning out a graduate, these are aspects that they should fulfill. If you don't have these aspects, then they won't be employed. Right. Then we've got another model there by the United Consultants Group, where they look at the human resources competence model. For you to be a competent employee, these are the skills that you need to have: critical evaluation, business acumen. We are looking at relationship and leadership and navigation, consultation. All those aspects you need to have them so that you are an employable graduate. And I'm happy that the presenter from the International Labour Organization talked about the future of jobs. And I borrowed this document from the future of jobs from the World Economic Forum, future of jobs document. And they are saying, for you to be employable, these are the 10 skills that you need to have. And we, as academics and industry, we need to ask ourselves, when we have got these skills, or do our graduates have these skills when they leave college? Are they able to solve complex problems? At the moment, I think we are struggling as an industry. Do we have we are suffering, our numbers are going low. I think this, in 2018, when we reached 2.5 million, but these are the figures that we reached in 1999. So it's a complex problem. Are we able to solve that? Right. Critical thinking, creativity, people management, negotiation, cognitive flexibility. You don't know just someone who is just, when is taught to do something, then they do it. Was taught is not a military camp where you taught to jump and you ask how high. You have to think as a person, right? So we carried out this study now to address this aspect and say it right. What are the problems that we are facing in the industry? And we had this main objective, which was to explore perceptions of stakeholders. And in this case, we are looking at employers' perceptions towards the employability of what hospitality graduates in Botswana. And those are some of the specific objectives. We wanted to see, like, when parents, employers send students to college, what are the expectations that they have? What are the key competencies that they should have at the end of the 4-year program? Then what are the challenges that these employers are facing when they employ hospitality and tourism graduates? Then lastly, we have got some few recommendations that we made. In terms of research methodology, we adopted a research interpretivism philosophy. It's a qualitative study, and we used an interview guide to collect data. And this is where the study was done. It was done in Mahuni and Gaborone. And the sample size was 30. We did a thematic analysis to analyze the data. So in terms of findings and discussion, we try to group these emerging themes into these findings there. And we find that generally managers or employers expect people to have work experience when they complete. And I remember one of these days when I was getting employed or getting an interview, someone was saying, do you have the experience to work in the hospitality sector? And I remember asking them, I was very bored then, saying, where do we learn experience? Do you have one of those experience as a module in university? And I remember that was long back, the industry was still firing all cylinders, so we could choose jobs, we could do hopping from one job to another. So, but they want experience, they want technical skills, they want you to be a team player, they want you to have knowledge about destination, Botswana and foreign languages. So those subjects, French, German, Chinese, all those ones are very, very important. Right, so this is what they say. Then we move on to the next the slide on challenges, please. The challenges, that one, yes. So when they've employed now the graduates, what are the challenges that they are facing? And you find that quite a number of respondents complain that graduates lack knowledge on managing their type of businesses. I think they are focusing too much maybe on the lower end. They don't have those management skills, they don't have the knowledge. Then about 70% of the respondents complain that graduates have got a poor performance in decision making. And they resign, they move from one job to another, especially if you place them in the bush. They don't have to be tour guides, they don't have to be managers in some lodges deep in the forest there. So having done having found out these challenges, we made a few recommendations that we think can be discussed here in this symposium. So one of them is that as universities, let's restructure our programs, our hospitality and tourism programs, so that they become more technical. We know that we have focused more on, you say that maybe polytechnics are those ones which should focus on the technical side, and us as universities, we should focus on the management side. But the issue here is that the truth of the matter is that even when they are employing managers, they want you to be technically skilled. That's number one. Right. Then another very interesting recommendation is that from the industry look of things, they feel that the lecturers themselves are not skilled enough to impart these technical skills to the students. So they want us to, during the vacation periods, during your sabbatical and conduct leave, can you allow Dr. Sinyemba to go and be attached at Holiday Inn? Being a doctor as she is, she should humble herself to be washing the dishes, to be serving the guests, so that when she comes back to class, she is able to really tell the students that this is how it's done. Then at the end of the day, you might feel that this gap between the industry and academia can be closed. So these are some of the few recommendations that we made. And so in conclusion, we can say that from this start, it was a very sad finding that our market, because we are producing products, the student, the market feels that as universities, we are not doing enough to train our students. They don't have the skills that they need so that they can be employed. And in terms of our references list, these are some of the references that you can refer to so that you are able to follow our discussion. I thank you, Kiariboha. Thank you.
A round of applause again for Dr. Zungeni. Thank you very much. It is my wish that the presenters can be able to just highlight the problem, quickly go to the findings, and perhaps give us, concentrate more on some solutions so that we walk out of this place with a number of things that we can just go rightfully go and implement when back in the industry. And I also want to say that maybe perhaps if we could limit our presentations to about 10 minutes so that at least we again are in time for our other events. Right, and I'm inviting 3 questions, those that are pending questions. Maybe Dr. Zengeni can respond, or just 3 questions. Anybody with a burning question? Thank you. We have some ushers. Dr. Singeni?
Thank you, Dr. Angelica. It's not a question, it's just a comment with respect to employability of the graduates, that maybe universities need to take note of the attendance, because these days the internet can give an illusion that you can just have the syllabus and maybe study most of the things on your own. But it's the discussions that take place in the lecture rooms, the group work and all that. So universities really need to monitor how students are attending classes, because you can then have a half-baked student, because they were only coming to, occasionally and then just writing exams that are also spotted. So you can spot and pass, but you don't have a holistic, picture of your field. So you become, in the industry, they can say you're half-baked. You are not, skilled enough to work for them. So I think universities need to look at that, the attendance and the participation in classes. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And let me thank Dr. Sengeni for his presentation. Let me also first compliment the university or the organizers for the beautiful flowers. Sure, they go hand in hand with hospitality. Thank you. I love them. Let me then proceed. I don't have a question, but it's also a comment. Seated here, I said now I think Dr. Sengeni is beginning to see some light somewhere, somehow. Growing up, after qualification, of course, the issue of skills has always been there. But when he said an engineer qualifies as an engineer, a lawyer is a lawyer, and so forth. What's wrong with tourism and hospitality? I'm asking this question because, for sure, the issue of high unemployment is rife in tourism. And yet, we all need hospitality. We all are tourists. I think it has been said that we are domestic tourists or something to that effect. And yet, we still cannot fulfill our obligations in that particular area. What's so wrong with us? Someone graduates from out of the country, particularly out of Africa, they are employable. They just submit their application. I was on attachment, I did this, I did that in Malaysia, in whichever part of the world. And it's easier for them to get a job than our own people whom we are tutoring here in the country. And then if the lecturer or the professor goes for an attachment at Holiday Inn, I'm asking myself, where have we gone wrong? I would expect that to happen during the lifetime of the student while at the university. That year of attachment is one thing, but in between, during the holidays, while they are studying, why can't we get our own produce on the local market? Why do we wait till the end? It's very disconcerting when I come to think of that. I think even as the program is being refocused at the universities, we need to look at certain issues. Better still, do an intergraduate, something like that, a gap of some sort, where after qualifying, they are out there in the field and working until they acquire those skills. I think it helps us. This sector of tourism seems to be the hardest hit. That's why I said, please, I think I must say something about it. Thank you very much. Sorry I took longer than I intended.
Thank you very much. We have the last comment perhaps, so that we move on. Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. I will just ask one question to Dr. Zengeni in terms of the practical consideration of his paper, where he recommends that students, the lecturers be attached to the industrial players. But what would be your take in terms of coming up with a holistic university that is able to say, if we are teaching veterinary science here, we should be able to run a successful veterinary hospital here, a successful laboratory, because we are also training lab scientists, and a successful hotel, because we are also training, instead of continuously outsourcing. Because at the end of the day, we have that gap internally, where even hotels think that they just are silos operating from one end, and the industry is operating as silos, without us maybe being able to create that capacity to train and offer in situ what we are training our students to go and do outside. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I think we were accommodating, but maybe just...
Not a question, but a comment. It will be brief. I was saying we've been laboring in vain. We are talking about jobs and tourism in the future. We have labored enough in vain. Next year, this time, let's talk about tourism and investors from each university. We should have hoteliers, hotel owners, resort owners graduating from an institution, so that then those who have the lower qualifications will come and seek jobs from our graduates. And this must be cross-cutting in all faculties. Let's stop talking about labor and jobs and start talking about job creation. Thank you.
I think, yeah, I can see so many heads are getting up, but I think maybe we could include this in our plenary sessions, which will be after the presentations. But you may respond to one question, I think, which Mr. Rinyo asked.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nyerere. Yeah, to answer Mr. Rinyo's question, we find that us as universities have moved to that stage now where we are beginning to develop what we call the minimum bodies of knowledge. So that each and every university was asked to bring in the components of their programs. Then we agree that this is what we should have. So that some other universities like the Chino University of Technology has got a model that you were asking for, that they've got a hotel that they run. So their students are not strangers when they get into industry. They are really learning the skills. And in my literature review, I also presented to you the hotel school model from Richie. And I said, this is some of what others are doing. So it's a very noble idea. And with your support from the ministry, from the regulatory authority, we hope that at the end of the day, every university, if we agree on these minimum bodies of knowledge, you should have a hotel that you train your students at. So that they don't just wait for attachment, but as they go along the 4-year program, they can put into practice their skills that they are getting from the classroom, just like the veterinary hospital that you talked about. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. From now, thank you. Just give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. Our second session is again Dr. Zengeni. Can I confirm this? Is it a different one? Nice. Right. Thank you very much for the oversight on our program day. Our next presentation is from Dr. Mrs. Zengeni, correct? Or better? Thank you. And Mrs. Mchenje. And their topic and their title is An Analysis of Tourism and Hospitality Academic Programs in Relation to the Industrial Requirements. Very closely related to the previous presentation. Thank you, Doc. You can make your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Njerekai. To the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Environment, Hospitality Industry, Vice Chancellor, University of Zimbabwe, Dean of Commerce, Dr. Mazkanda, and all protocols observed. My name is Blessing Muchenje, and I'm going to present on an analysis of our tourism degree program here at University of Zimbabwe in comparison with the requirements of the industry. What we have done, my co-presenter is Dr. Dorothy Monica Fungai Sengeni. So what we have, if you look at our industry, we are saying that the tourism industry, we are looking at maybe the movement of people from their areas of destination to a the movement of people from their areas of origins to a destination for various reasons that they will be traveling for. And we are also looking at the hospitality being the reception and entertainment of strangers and visitors with liberality and goodwill. So here we are saying that we are looking at an industry that is combined into two, where we are looking at a traveler who is coming to a destination, and when you come to a destination, you expect some sort of feeling at home, away from home. That is the hospitality. So here we are looking at the nature of the industry itself. We are saying that the industry is divided into various sectors. And if you look at these various sectors, you've got the travel, you've got the lodging industry, you've got the assembly, and event management, restaurants, and management, and recreation. So which means that people have to travel, and when they travel, they have to feel at home, away from home. That's lodging. And when they come there, they have to get their entertainment happening, and also their food and beverage is supposed to be there. And most of the times you might find that people need leisure. We need some relaxation away from our homes. So here we are saying that with this industry, it has got a variety of job opportunities which are worldwide, not only here in Zimbabwe. So here we are saying that people, if we try to produce some graduates, these graduates are supposed to be consumed by various sectors within the industry. So if you look at that, we've got the food services, the hotels, we also have the events, the travel and tourism, and other luxurious areas where they can be accommodated. But now, our question is, why is it like our students are not really maybe appreciating or are not being appreciated maybe by the industry that has got so vast amount of job opportunities? So here we are also looking at, with this industry, it is a totally different industry, maybe from other organizations that you can have. Within our tourism and hospitality industry, we work while we enjoy ourselves. So there is a lot of excitement that you can get, which makes our industry to be unique. So if you look at this, we are saying that it's a powerful industry because it's an international industry. There's nowhere you can go where you do not want maybe to get some hospitality. And wherever you go, you've also involved yourself into some traveling of some sort. And also, in this case, we are looking at maybe we have got diverse and dynamic work environments that you can also get into, and it's a flexible industry where you can be able maybe to do whatever you feel like as an individual, and you can entertain yourself while at the same time you're also entertaining some other people. So it's a global industry that is also creative in nature. So it's an enjoyable industry and exciting as well. And this industry does not only maybe save itself, but it has got maybe some other benefits that go to other industries as well that surround it. So take for example, if we set up maybe a hotel, let's say maybe here at campus, it's not only going to be a hotel on its own, but other businesses are going to be attracted by this kind of a business that we have set up within maybe our own institution. So at the end of the day, we find that the industry does not exist in isolation, but we have got maybe to engage agriculture sector so that we can be able to get our food. We also need to engage our transport sector so that we can be able to get our transport for traveling, and we've got all other things that can also happen. And while we are also entertaining our visitors from all over, we also have our own people, or the workers, that also need to enjoy the same products that they do produce on themselves. So here we are saying that it has got a variety of benefits to the nation as well as maybe to the world over. Then, now coming back to our program as University of Zimbabwe, since 1996, when the University of Zimbabwe introduced and pioneered the tourism degree in hospitality. It, in fact, we give maybe we give honor to the University of Zimbabwe that it was only maybe the training institutions like the polytechnics that were offering certificates and higher diplomas in tourism. But since 1996, this university started having the first stream in tourism and hospitality management. And here, to show its popularity, after 1996, we started having other institutions like Chino University, Midland University, Great Zimbabwe University, Manicaland, as of late, who are also having the same program. And it's becoming widespread, and we are now having more people who are being changed out to the industry, who are holders of the degrees in this particular program. So if you look at this program, our own program, we offer, in terms of our curriculum, which is an outline of what we do in terms of our training. We have exposed our students to a lot of other courses that they carry out. And here we are saying that in terms of our own tourism degree here in University of Zimbabwe, about 43 total courses are being offered to the students in 3 years' time, and they've got 1 year of industrial attachment where they are supposed to get an exposure of what really happens within the industry. And a total of 4 years is maybe what you say our students are now ready to go to the industry in order to go and exercise whatever they would gather here in terms of knowledge. So we've got a lot of courses that I've mentioned here. Communication is being done, foreign languages are also being offered, business ethics, we also have accounting, it's also offered, marketing, human capital management, operations. Those are some of the courses that we do offer here. And now we are saying that in terms of our graduates that will change here from here in University of Zimbabwe, what we've gathered so far from the industry is that our students are very good when it comes to managerial concepts. And they are very assertive managers who are able maybe to know and also to practice what they would have gathered from here. And also, there is also high potential from our own students that if they are given a lot of other opportunities, these are people who can excel in life. And the program, again, it has been used as a benchmark by other institutions. Take, for example, Midland State University. They've got almost similar courses that we do offer here at University of Zimbabwe. And our students, again, are being utilized in various other sectors, not only in the tourism industry per se, but if you look at other areas like Zimra, they are there in customer services. In the mobile networks, they are also there as customer services managers as well, which means tourism has got a vast opportunities that it can offer to our own students. However, it's not always good news about our program, or maybe our programs, if I can take it that way, nationwide. We are saying that there is a lot of an outcry that is coming from the industry about our program. Especially if you look at maybe our own UZ program that lacks the hands-on experience. Here we are saying that we need maybe to look at that so that we can be able to produce people who are very good and who can fit into the industry without any challenges. And also, our program so far, the tourism and hospitality management, it is more general and it covers almost everything. If you look at maybe the course programs that I put there on the modules, our students touch on tour operations, they touch on food and beverages, they touch on water management, they touch on whatever. So it's like they are touching on each and every area, but without any area of specialty that they can concentrate on, which is one of the weaknesses that we've also discovered. And also, if you look at maybe our industry, yes, it is a people-oriented industry, which means it can accommodate a lot of other people. But if you look at maybe our numbers right now, they are swelling every year to the extent that when it comes to industrial attachment, it seems like our students are not all being accommodated by the industry, which is like shrinking, looking at maybe the current economic situation. So here we are also looking at that, especially when we would intend each and every student to get an opportunity to get the exposure in 1 year of industrial attachment. Then this has also been worsened by a number of state universities and other colleges that are also offering the same program, which means we are now having a lot of other people who are doing the same program. Then, what are the suggestions coming maybe from the industry and our students? This is what we found out from our respondents. We need to identify areas of specialization so that we do not produce maybe a graduate who is maybe a general kind of a manager, but we need people who are specialized in certain areas so that when we are talking about events management, we need to have someone who is a specialist in that particular area and who can be able to perform well in that particular area, tour operations, wildlife management, and so other areas. Then in such areas also students still need that intense practice and hands-on so that they can be able to get the hands-on experience. And students also need some more exposure, not only here in Zimbabwe, but just like what my former colleague has talked about, we need these people also to go and compare with what other countries are also doing so that we can be able to see where are we as Zimbabwe in terms of the products that we do produce. And also, we are also encouraging even the industry to accommodate our own students during the vacations, even during maybe their off times, maybe from school, so that they can be able to engage themselves and get maybe some voluntary work where they can either be paid minimal wages or they can just get maybe that experience for free. Then on foreign languages, here we offer foreign languages like Chinese, French to our own students. But we also found out that our students are not so conversant maybe in these languages, considering that they do two at the same time. But the recommendation that came was, at least if they can specialize in one, if we can give a choice, either French or Chinese or any other language that will be popular, so that we produce people who are well conversant in that particular language and they can become effective to their clients, since they are talking about an international industry. Then also, we on the big numbers, like we said, we are also trying maybe to shrink in terms of maybe the people whom we can train, and then from those whom we have trained, we need to make sure that they are well consumed, and for those who cannot be employed, there is also another recommendation to make sure that we train them for entrepreneurship, creating their own jobs rather than to wait to be employed. That is maybe the current mandate for our students, so that we are able maybe to diversify in terms of how we can be able maybe to consume these students. Then also, from those people who are already in the industry, there was also another concern about further training that can come from the institutions for those people who are already employed, so that they can further the skills and also to enhance them as per the demand of the market as well. So again, on the research methodology, what we did is we did have interaction with the students on attachment, or those, and also those who will come from attachment, and the supervisors will be working with our students during the attachment period, so that we could hear their concerns, and we have tried to accommodate whatever they have said to us. And what we have done so far as a University of Zimbabwe Tourism, Leisure and Hospitality Studies Department, we have already started to address some of these concerns. And new programs are being formulated in order to address the specialization issues that we've been talking about. We are trying to move away from the general degree program of hospitality and tourism, so that we can now try to address each and every area of specialty. Then we can be able to come up with people who are well versed in that particular area. So far, events management, wildlife management, aviation, and hotel management are some of the areas that we are thinking of trying to incorporate into the program, so that we can be able to have people who are well skilled. Then entrepreneurial skills is also part of our curriculum right now, and this is in response to what the Ministry of Higher Tertiary Education is also requiring each and every training institution to do, so that we can have graduates who can create their own employment. Then the university also is in the process of opening a facility for training of our students during their learning, just like what our core university, Chino University of Technology, have done with hotel. We are now moving on so that they can be able to work with them, so that they can have more experience and more exposure on what is really supposed to be done. And again, in order to address what the people in the industry, those who are employed, have also asked us to do, so far we have got a memorandum of understanding with the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority. So far in Victoria Falls, we have already started the certificate in tour guiding and tour operations that is running currently, so that we can be able to enhance the skills of those who are already into the employment. Some of them are already starting their own things as we speak. So opportunities are also being opened in other areas, not only here in Zimbabwe, but we are also trying to explore other areas that are outside Zimbabwe, so that we can have that comparative analysis with what happens maybe in the region, if not also maybe outside the region as well, so that we can have competent students at the end of the day. Then, ZIMCHE is also a board that is maybe on quality assurance in terms of maybe our education here. And minimum bodies of knowledge is also what we are also doing in order to address some of these issues as well. So here we are saying that we are coming up with, according maybe to this quality assurance organization, instead of us using Chinoi, MSU, Grace Zimbabwe having different programs, but for the same area of tourism and hospitality, there is now an issue of standardization of our programs so that we can be able to produce someone who can fit at any other institution without any difficulties. And here I have taken the concern that has come from the Professor Amon Morira on his address during the workshop that was done, where he was talking about the mismatch between knowledge and skills has largely been attributed to traditional design and philosophy of the country's higher education system, which was premised on Education 3.0, that was teaching, research, and community management. Now we are moving on to the to 5.0, that talks about teaching, research, community engagement, innovation, and industrialization. And this is a way, maybe a new development that is coming in our education curriculum, especially for the training institutions, so that we are able to have a new heritage-based philosophy that is expected to have an education system that will begin effectively resulting in the creation of goods and services. So it's now about innovation, industrialization. That is now the new focus. And we are now trying to fine-tune our programs so that we can fit into that particular 5.0, so that at the end of the day, we produce someone who is user-friendly at the end of the day. So in conclusion, we are saying that the tourism industry is one of the never-ending business, because people will still be there and we still need that hospitality and we do travel. So what is the way forward now? We are saying that we need this international business to be continuous, and also to be always addressed through continuous revisiting and reviewing of whatever we do, so that at the end of the day we are able to produce suitable individuals within the industry. So that is where we are right now as we speak as University of Zimbabwe. I thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Okay, another round of applause for you. Thank you very much. Again, inviting just possibly 3 questions again, or contributions to the presentation.
Good morning. I have a comment, something that I've noticed within the industry. When graduates do come into the industry, what is lacking is not the technical competencies per se, but what is lacking is the soft skill that makes them unemployable. And I saw what Mrs. Zengene was saying about the courses that she or the university is teaching or is imparting to the students. There is nothing that I've seen on soft skills, and that is killing the industry. That's why you will see graduates are not fitting into the industry because of the soft skills. Tourism is all about soft skills.
Thank you. Sorry to intervene a little bit for the benefit of the students who are here. Perhaps if you could just unbundle that, maybe it's something that the students might not understand. What is a soft skill?
Okay, soft skills, I'll just give you an example. The minister came in, we were told all of us to stand up. It's something that is supposed to be within us. It's something that is supposed within us. It's something that is supposed to be taught.
Thank you. Can I also just maybe request those who are asking and contributing to just tell us who they are and which organizations they represent, just not just start by asking or making contributions.
Okay, thank you. I'm Dr. Segedi from CAT. My question to Mrs. Mchenji is that for your presentation, it seems like you didn't give us an outline of what the industry requires, because you're trying to compare your degree program in the requirements of the industry. I didn't get to see that. Then my second question is, you gave us the resolutions that you've taken as a university. And you said one of the approaches that you've taken is to unbundle the program, to look at tourism, hospitality, hotel management, events management. And my question is, are you really sure that this is what the industry is looking for? Because we have got a certain problem in our own institution where we introduce a new program, but in terms of uptake now, we are having challenges with the students. So my question is, are you really sure that this is what the industry wants? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I saw down here. Hello. Yeah. First come, first serve. I saw Dr. Msao. You wanted to say something? Oh, yes.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, and thank you to our presenter for the work that has been done. My name is Angelica Katuruza from the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. I want to speak from the perspective of a consumer. I have been to several hotels in the region, several hotels outside the region, and I compare not just the service from our hotels, but the food. To say the least, the food that we serve in this country is awful. I don't know what's wrong with us, what's wrong with the degrees or the teaching, or whether we are teaching at all, but the food that is produced in our hotels, it has no taste. You have to add more salt and put peri-peri. We need to change if we are going to attract tourists into this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Perhaps, the last question. Yes.
Good morning. My name is William Chanyuka. I'm President of the Tourism Business Council of Zimbabwe, as well as the Country Manager for South African Airways. Mine is a contribution, and to say to Mrs. Mchenji that we appreciate the focus that the university has towards unbundling the program that you had into areas of speciality. I think what has been happening in industry is that everyone coming out of this program of tourism and hospitality was not quite a fit for, say, aviation, or for, say, conservation management or environmental management for that matter. So the unbundling of the program is welcome. And I want to add on to what the previous speaker said about soft skills. It is very, very crucial that the students coming out of the institutions have soft skills. And the soft skills include things like deportment, grooming, and etiquette, because that is what makes tourism. Tourism is about personality. You cannot be someone who works in tourism and not have a bubbly personality. You have to have an outgoing personality. You have to dress well, you have to present yourself well. Otherwise, you're not fit for purpose, if I can call it that. So it is very crucial that the students that are coming out of the institutions not only have the technical know-how, but also have the soft skills. Are they able to work on a computer? Are they able to work with the different packages that they are? And things like that. Thank you.
I think I will be a bit flexible and allow him also to say something.
My name is Clayton Okwara from Skills College. I'm a principal director. I think there is need for a re-engagement between the hotel owners and the institutions meaning to say the syllabi being developed is in accordance with the hotels as well as the institutions, so that there is one thing, especially when you say you are engaging this student from this institution, they really know that in terms of food preparation, in terms of housekeeping, in terms of buffet, they are really acquired and is uniform, rather than say a student just go to any other hotel and looking for attachment. And that on-job training is something new to the hotel, which means the student himself or herself is not to be given the right content of learning. And at the end of the day, you discover that they are not absorbed into the industry. Why? Because what the institutions are offering and what the hotels are offering is not in relation. So I think as hotels, they must engage institutions or hotel institutions and training institutions to ensure that everything that they do is uniform. Development of curriculum is really developed to such a way that they are sort of consultants without making arguments saying the students are not getting employed. They really know we've produced this, and this is for Sheraton, this is for Monomtapa, this is for Holiday Inn, and later on you discover that the quality of service will be of high standards. I was just observing when we have our breakfast, I think a lot of people support me, right? They did not do it to the standard as per hotel tourism symposium. But then we cannot mention the hotel, but really I think the improvement can be made through that.
Right. Thank you very much. I was just about to intervene in the chat and say, okay, yeah. Thank you very much. I think in terms of responses from Ms. Mchenje, I think from the contributions I have heard, she needs only to respond to whether she did an industry needs analysis in order for her to be able to match her findings with the industry requirements. For the rest of the questions, I think they were contributions, and the industries here, I'm happy that we've got Tourism Business Council of Zimbabwe, we've got ministry, and the universities are here. I want to believe that they are taking note of some of these trends that we would expect to see operating in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. Thank you. Good morning to you all. We have questions which have been asked. It was a co-presentation. So we had questions which have been asked in line with the presentation. You want us to attend to those?
Yes, the question was whether you did an industry needs analysis so that you could then match with the...
Thank you very much. The first question was on soft skill. I think that was deliberated properly and it was answered, and we now know what our soft skills are. The outline on needs analysis from the industry. We have been sending students to industrial attachment, and during the assessments, you would hear the concern of the industry. So that was the basis of our research. And the outline of the needs, though, was not outlined on the slides as per se, but we included them in the final paper, and those who are going to read the paper, they will find those requirements. But the bottom line is this was a concern which we drew from the industrial assessment outcomes to say there is a gap, and what we are putting through is not what really the industry is requiring. And in that case, yes, an industry analysis, needs analysis was done. We will document it in the final paper, in our final presentation. Then on the unbundling process, I think it was also tackled by
Ms. Winnie, to say it's a requirement. Though, yes, it's not doing what they were expecting in Chinhoyi, but we discovered that it's something which the industry is requiring. A general student is failing to really take up the opportunities in the industry. Say you want to have an hotelier, because our degree program now is tourism, leisure and hospitality. It embraces everything from the travel aspect, hotel, airline, events, leisure and everything. So at least we want to train a student who at the end of the day, if asked in line with events, they would know what is really an event is all about. If they're asked in the hotel area, they would know and they would have been groomed in that area. So that's where we are going. And we're also answering to the 5.0 aspect which is required. To say, if you want somebody to be innovative and industrialized, they should really know the area which they are going to be majoring into. That's where we are going as an institution. And we appreciate the challenges which are coming from Chinhoyi. We are hoping that as we go on and introduce ours, it will be accepted by the industry. And the industry is here to support the outline. And the rest, I think they are all to do with comments which the industry is seeing in line with what is happening now. I thank you.
Thank you very much. At the end of the whole session, I think perhaps I should be able to give you a summary of the key aspects which you can take home. I'm listening carefully. May I take this opportunity to, briefly have a change of course. May I invite the university choir to come and at least entertain us for a few minutes. Can we just clap our hands for the university choir? Some musical interlude. Thank you very much.
kudai.
A round of applause again for this. I can see Mama Monya Papa. Thank you very much, you Z Choir, thank you very much. Let us proceed. Our next presentation is by Ms. Mazveni and Dr. Mando and Mr. Mangwiro from Chinhoyi University of Technology. And their title is An Assessment of the Level of Entrepreneurship Among Tourism Graduates in Zimbabwe. And I'm sure we are also keen to know what is the position. Thank you very much. Welcome, Ms. Masveli. Can we just clap hands for her when she comes in?
Good day to you all. My name is Ms. Mazbeli. I'm from Chinhoyi University, as previously highlighted. I'm going to be presenting on an assessment of the perceived level of entrepreneurship amongst tourism graduates. My presentation outline is going to be as follows. I'm going to be giving an introduction and explaining briefly the materials and methods, the findings, the key insights, the way forward, and I'm also going to give a reference list. It's such a wonderful time when people get to graduate. And when they get to graduate, the question then lies on what is it that we're going to do after graduation? Are we going to be absorbed into the job market? Are we going to be employees, or are we going to be employers? Or are we going to be staying at home as unemployed people? So you'd find that unemployment has become a major problem in Africa. And in Zimbabwe, there have been unprecedented levels of unemployment which have been reached. I think you can agree with me that in most cases, some of us who are parents here, we've got graduates who have qualified but who are sitting at home. We've got graduates who are qualified but who are not doing what they trained for. 84% of the unemployed population in Zimbabwe are youth. And you find that of these youths, some of the people that are unemployed are graduates, and tourism graduates are not an exception to this scenario. Whilst this is so, entrepreneurship can be considered as a useful tool that can drive sustainable development, and it can also be used as a solution to unemployment. Universities, which nowadays that they are actually doing, they have considered the inclusion of entrepreneurship in their curriculum, such that they are trying to use entrepreneurship as a way to solve the challenges of unemployment. However, whilst the teaching and learning of entrepreneurship is being done, learners are not taken through the whole process of entrepreneurship and small business management. And this then renders the entrepreneurial process incomplete. Yes, people have been taken through a curriculum where they've got modules to do with entrepreneurship, but at the end of the day, are they then becoming entrepreneurs? Olsen and Malcolm in 2012 agreed that entrepreneurship is becoming progressively more imperative to university education and is vital to building the next generation of leaders for global innovation. So we want to talk about innovation, we want to talk about the issues to do with the tourism industry. What innovations can we come up with? So through entrepreneurship, our tourism graduates who are channeling out can then be coming up with these innovations that can help to solve problems in the tourism industry. So despite the increasing recognition of entrepreneurship as a source of employment creation, empowerment and economic development in a globalizing world, there's not been an audit on the perceived level of entrepreneurship among tourism graduates in Zimbabwe. While some authors, they've focused on the aspect of what are the lecturers who are taking entrepreneurship, what are they saying about how the outcomes of their programs. But now, with this study, we aimed at looking at the end users or the recipients of the entrepreneurship education. And we then looked at what is it that they are becoming after education? After they've gone through this entrepreneurship education, are they then able to become entrepreneurs, to become job creators, to create new ventures? So the aim of this study was therefore to assess the perceived level of entrepreneurship amongst tourism graduates. In terms of the materials and methods, for research methodology, we went qualitative. Since we wanted to look at issues to do with perception, we looked at the qualitative, we used the qualitative methodology, and we used the case study approach, whereby we only looked at one university, which we used as a case study, and we looked at tourism graduates from that particular university because we knew that they had gone through a certain curriculum, and through that curriculum, we then wanted to ascertain what it is that is then going to happen after, what it is that is happening after the completion of their degree program. So we used semi-structured interviews. We sampled our graduates conveniently from an alumni database of this particular local university. Then in terms of data analysis, we used the content and thematic analysis. For the findings of our study, we started by establishing what's the current employment status of the tourism graduates was, so that we could then say, okay, of the graduates that we've channeled out, and we're saying that these graduates should be entrepreneurial. How many have become entrepreneurs? How many have been absorbed into the tourism industry and how many are in other sectors. And those unemployed, since we have given them the technical skills in terms of the tourism and hospitality education, can they not be absorbed as tourism employees, or can they not be tourism graduates? Can they not be entrepreneurs as well? So it is noteworthy that by comparison, a large proportion of males were entrepreneurs as compared to females. I'm basing on the findings that we got. Several studies have found that males generally have a higher entrepreneurial behavior than females. And Bliss in 2018 notes that women prefer to work in a formal environment as their family commitments and responsibilities usually take priority. So you'd find that when, on our findings, the education sector has 8 females, and this may be because of the formal working conditions that are found in the education sector rather than in the hospitality industry. The high employment rate from these findings was 39%, can be attributed to the fact that historically Zimbabweans have been socialized and educated to enter the labor market as employees. So whilst there are chances of becoming entrepreneurs, some people, they just complain that there are no jobs, but they are then not entering into the entrepreneurship industry because they have been socialized in such a manner that they think that they should be employed rather than be employers. This concurs with findings that reveal that the current state of the economy, characterized by further shrinkage of the formal sector and the concomitant retrenchment, suggests that there has not been significant job creation, and the growing cadre of graduates must compete for the few jobs that are available in the private sector as well as the public sector. So why then would our graduates not be able to take up entrepreneurship as an option? We then went further to look at the comprehensiveness of the entrepreneurship education that the graduates had gone through. And the major themes that arose on this particular objective was that some viewed the education that they received to be education for entrepreneurship. And when we talk about education for entrepreneurship, we're talking about that education that enables you at the end of the day to be able to start and run your own business, to be able to employ other people. Then the other theme that arose was about education about entrepreneurship, whereby we're then saying our students have gone through the curriculum, but they have knowledge about entrepreneurship. If you ask them definitions, they can theorize those aspects. But when it comes to the practicality of this aspect, then it becomes a problem. So 20 respondents were in the category who said that they received education for entrepreneurship. And they said that the program was motivational, it imparted entrepreneurship skills, and it empowered one to be able to start and run a business. And whilst this is so, some of the respondents admitted to be having challenges. And the challenges that they say they highlighted were challenges such as funding, the stifling government policies, and provision of an enabling operating environment for venture creation. Yes, they would want to create new ventures, but the policies would be hindering them in terms of then creating the new business ventures. Yes, they have received the entrepreneurship education, but there are other issues that are also limiting them. Then those that said that they received entrepreneurship education for entrepreneurship, education about entrepreneurship, there were 36 out of the 56 respondents. And the major themes that arose from this group were that the content was too generic and basic, the method of delivery was viewed as too theoretical rather than being practically oriented. And this is actually quite alarming to say the least, because whilst we teach our students, we want them at the end of the day to have the right skills. And when these graduates then go and say that something was too basic, it means there's something that needs to be done in terms of the way that we are teaching our entrepreneurship, or the way that we're imparting entrepreneurship skills to our students. So the key insights from the researcher that tourism graduates' level of entrepreneurship was noted to be negligible, as most graduates were either employees or unemployed, and less were fully participating in entrepreneurship and at running businesses. The program was said to be too theoretical, and hence inadequate skills were inculcated in the respondents, and therefore this then hindered them from participating fully in entrepreneurship. So tourism graduates seem to be employee-minded and lack that culture of entrepreneurship. Then the challenges highlighted in the study, the lack of funding, the policies need to be addressed. What then is the way forward? From the strategies that we got, there is need to raise awareness on the importance of entrepreneurship so as to improve the culture of those tourism graduates, such that they know that it's not about the government creating jobs for us, but we need to create our own jobs. And the teaching methodologies, yes, we are giving them the theory, but the teaching methodologies need to be redressed such that we go more practical, and if need be, we call upon the entrepreneurs to come as guest lecturers to actually impart the entrepreneurship skills to the students, because they've walked the path. And a funding support system can be availed in terms of funding and mentorship, as this will help to support entrepreneurs. Then there is need for reduction of entry barriers. Then another study can also be done quantitatively, taking graduates from all other universities, so that we have some information that can be generalized. These are some of the references that I used. With this, I'll rest my case.
Thank you very much. I think from the presentation, I can still feel that our education is still 3.0. We still have to move towards 5.0. But I think I'm also very keen on pointing out one thing which I met in one of the conferences that I have attended so far. I attended one interesting conference where I came out with a formula for success. And I think everybody might be interested in this one. What is the formula for success? The formula for success is S, which means success, equals to P plus R times A, which is action, and R is resources. And I am seeing on the board, on one of the slides, that resources and so on. So if you are failing to be successful, it's not the resources that are a problem. It is the plan which must attract resources. A good plan attracts resources. And what is missing for most of the things is the action, which we said multiplied. So that if you do nothing, you get nothing, if you have got, even if you have got relevant resources and a good plan. Thank you. I'm inviting again some questions, and maybe, yes, 3 again.
Thank you very much. My name is Professor Chirisa. When I was listening to this presentation, what kept nagging me was really what is to be entrepreneurial. So that question, if it can be answered. I would suppose that for one to be entrepreneurial, which I don't know what it means. One, I think you have highlighted, Mr. MC, the issue of resources. Because at the time, these graduates, they are the same people who have been asking us for pocket money yesterday. And then we expected them tomorrow to be entrepreneurs. The other question, which maybe in their further research they would ask, is why are those in employment, those who are already established, why are they also not pushing to be entrepreneurial so that they give space for these young graduates?
Thank you. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Aramarunda, FETMA Consulting. I've got a comment to do with the course, is it about entrepreneurship, where the presenter said it's generic content and it's theoretical. I think here we need to look at the national mindset in education institutions. For lecturers to have, that flair for entrepreneurship when they teach, they need to be entrepreneurs themselves. But with the national mindset, whereby you're expected to be at a school, in a university at a given time, and to live at a given time, it won't give lecturers that space to, to do other things. I'll just quote an example whereby I was in charge of a department, and my boss said, you have to occupy the office from the entrance, because you need to take note of who is in last and first. And I said, Mr. Boss, I'm not concerned about who is there early, because they could be there at 6 and they're reading newspapers, right? So it's what they produce, their effort. So I think I'm appealing to the powers that be to create space for teachers and lecturers so that they run, businesses and feel what it is like on the ground, to go and get a license. What does it entail? Then together I think we can push policies. Otherwise, it's just books from outside our country, and then the students, after completing their studies, they find the environment is not enabling. Okay, thank you.
I can feel it's a sensitive one. It's a hot issue. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Go on. Thank you.
My name is Pastor Marima. I work with the CCPN, Christian Community Police Network. On the point of culture, we work under Ministry of Home Affairs and Culture. And I think it's quite fair. We should work with the graduates to improve, most of them, their perception about life and what they want to achieve is wrong. If you read the Bible, you see Joseph, he was a prisoner for no reason, and yet he could interpret the dream to some of the people with skills. And one of the person remembered that for him to be standing before the king, it was because of a prisoner. Then he mentioned his name. He even helped the country, not only his country, but also Egypt and where he was coming from. So graduates have to understand that the course that they did should improve not only themselves, but also the other learners and also the professors, the staff that helped them, that groomed them. We work with communities. We improve not only pastors and police people, but everyone in terms of grooming, culture, and also to see that Zimbabwe is prosperous We've got a vision of turning Mbare to be a tourist attraction by 2030. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Blessing Muchenje. My recommendation maybe on entrepreneurship is, I think it begins with us as the trainers for these graduates. If we can partner with them rather than just sending them to do what we have never demonstrated to them, I don't think it would be fair. It would be fair to our students. So I mean, I would want maybe to say if we can have the partnerships with our students and start things together so that we can show them the way, I think it's a way of winning them better than what we can say to say go and do this while we are seated.
Okay, thank you.
Edna Tendani from Belvedere Technical Teachers College. The problem boils down to the issue of the skills, or else I can say the curriculum. You'll find that us as Zimbabweans, we thought the 3.0 is the best. And everyone, once accomplished this degree or a diploma, whatever, just want employment. But now with this new curriculum 5.0, you'll find that those modules, we need to include the practical aspect. I still remember, let me quote Hexagon. It trains technocrats. So those technocrats, I tell you, if you meet those students whilst they're still training, they normally host weddings. But now the issue is, Blessing Chamber said, that we need to revamp our curriculum, where we should, blend the teaching of managers, because universities, they produce managers. They don't produce technocrats. But we are saying, let's blend the technocrat and the management so that that manager will be able to manage his or her own business, starting from knowing each and every aspect. Let me take you through. When you go to the industry, they know, these students, they know, coming from the industrial attachment, you start as a porter. You don't just start as a manager. Why are they doing that? It's because you should have a hard skill and a soft skill from the start. Remember, tourism and hospitality, it's an industry which you cannot do along with management. You have to know each and every aspect. You have to know the costing. You have to know cleanliness actually not how at not my standards actual. You cannot be the manager since go to kitchen and they'll give you one which is China, one more garnish, one more in the waters, this is good. I'm a phone. Sir, I would want to thank one of my lecturers, Dr.
Sorry, if for the benefit of maybe foreigners who are attending.
Okay, it's fine. I appreciate very much Mr. Mandevu. He taught me, and he used to say, you young lady, why can't you just do one thing, start your own things? Yeah, he used to do that to me, to be honest with you. You can start with what you have. Honestly, I run my own catering company whilst I'm also a lecturer. And I also take even the students, which I teach the practicals, to go and do the weddings. Thank you.
From the front. Yeah, thank you. I can see maybe you are wondering why I'm taking my time and so on and so on. There's been a slight adjustment to the program to the effect that the 12 to 12:50 plenary session that was scheduled on the next page is no longer there. So we'll do these two presentations and then straight away go for lunch. So I think we are within time. Thank you very much. So we can still afford maybe a question.
Thank you for the exciting presentation. It is just a proposal that maybe as we revamp the curriculum, can we have practical projects that are bankable as the graduates are given their certificates, instead of them producing dissertations or theses. Let's graduate projects which can create employment for the lower levels, like I mentioned before. I think that we will go a long way in doing good for the tourism and hospitality industry. Let's also circumvent the tourism and hospitality sector itself and expound on the opportunities that are available. We're not talking about catering only, we're not talking about travel and tour operations. There's a whole lot more that we can exploit to create the desired employment. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I think maybe possibly we can talk during lunch and share some ideas. Otherwise, you have a pending one. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Mutizwa Stewart, Director for Zimbabwe Youth and Tourism. Does a strategic entrepreneurship fit as a theory? Question number one. My question number two. Entrepreneurship, can it be taught or is it a gift? My last question, is there any significant difference between university spin-off and innovative startups? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, yeah, definitely have the last depending one there.
I'm Petros Decheche. I'm a lecturer under business studies, finance lecturer. Mine is not a question, it's a contribution. I want you to agree with what Professor Chirisa is saying. Taking into account one of the most successful entrepreneurs, Strive Masiwa. The little that I know about you, you studied engineering here at the University of Zimbabwe. After completing, you went for PTC. After that, you went to UK or United States. After that, meaning he was acquiring experience, and also he was saving money. After that, he then invested. He had a lot of experience, he had savings, so I find it very difficult for someone who is emerging in a university to start a business. We don't have resources, you have no savings, you don't have any working experience, so let's be very, very careful. Thank you very much.
Yes, because I see a hand from the student body, I think I'm obliged to give an opportunity to one student. Yeah, maybe just two.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to make a comment that I think one way to encourage entrepreneurship in students is to encourage a reading culture that doesn't necessarily contain the course content or textbooks, but reading books that are written by other entrepreneurs that show us how to combat issues such as finding resources. Thank you.
The last one.
Thank you very much for the chance to speak. My comment will address, I think, the issue that Mr. Mtizo touched on. Firstly, I think the way and the general approach that many people look at entrepreneurship is wrong, because we are trying to teach entrepreneurship as a subject at school so that people become entrepreneurs. But entrepreneurship is a skill that is acquired through culture. And which is why Africa, not just Zimbabwe, but Africa generally does not have many entrepreneurs. It's because when we grow up and as people, as most here are parents, is that when a child has an idea that is contrary to status quo, we want to crush that idea. Meaning that when that child grows up, they don't have the presence of mind to think outside the box because they're constantly being limited. So if you want to encourage a spirit of entrepreneurship into the next generation, it is the obligation from the parents that when the child is born, the child is allowed to express themselves so that when they are now adults and they have their degree, they are used to a culture of expressing themselves and creating new business ideas. No one can just wake up over 3 years after doing a course and suddenly have the skills to be a certain entrepreneurship. The skill of entrepreneurship is taught when a baby is born, not at a university stage. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really burning. Thank you for the contribution, and I want to invite some responses, but if I may request that you respond to questions only and not the contributions, because everyone, I think, is here and they are taking note of what is being said. For me, as MC, I have one burning one. Why are these lecturers and so on not entrepreneurs themselves?
Okay. Thank you very much for your questions and contributions. I don't really know where to start, but maybe I'll start by responding to Professor Chirisa's question where he was asking about entrepreneurship. When we talk about entrepreneurship, we're talking about creating value. You're looking at opportunities that are in an environment and you want to create value through those opportunities. So it's not that we are teaching entrepreneurship, just the entrepreneurship skills holistically, but through the technical skills of hospitality and tourism. Somebody can use those technical skills to then solve a problem or to create value in the industry. So that's my understanding of what we talk about when we're talking about entrepreneurship. So we're saying that when people go there, do they have the technical skills? Besides the technical skills, do they have the theoretical, even the theoretical knowledge that supports them? Is to say, when I want to create my business venture, what is the documentation that I need, and what is the procedure? How can I draw up a business plan which will attract investors? I hope I have answered. Then I've been asked if entrepreneurship is taught or it's a gift. I believe that we can take the whole day debating on whether entrepreneurship is taught or it is a gift, because there are some people who are born entrepreneurs. I have a sister who runs a successful event company. She didn't do hospitality and tourism, but she offers catering services. I went through hospitality and tourism, and I'm not an entrepreneur. So you'd find that she's got the gift of looking for those opportunities and running with ideas and attracting the investment. So that's in terms of entrepreneurship. Whilst I've got the technical skills, I may not be an entrepreneur. So yes, your question is debatable in the sense that some people are just born entrepreneurs. It also brings me to the issue raised by Professor Jecheche, where he spoke about a scenario where Strive Masio was saving money and he was gaining experience. Yes, the experience is much needed, but I think I've got lots of people who are in here who've also got experience, but who are also not entrepreneurs. So we'll still go back and say, why are we in industry, but still not running something on the side? Because even for the tourism graduates that we interviewed, some of them would then say, whilst I'm a teacher, I'm doing this at the side because I want to be an entrepreneur. So I'm just trying to get my resources. I'm just trying to finance my business by using this job as something that will finance. But eventually, as my business grows, I'm going to go fully into entrepreneurship. Then I would take the comments from the ladies that indicated that it is indeed ideal for us to have our mindset, even the university system, to allow for us lecturers to be entrepreneurs. Because you'd find that if I start running my food outlets it's like it's conflict of interest, because it's the investor I belong to, Cat Hotel, they are also offering similar services. Unless I'm going to be an entrepreneur in something that would not be conflict of interest. Maybe I want to be an entrepreneur in the sense that I'm running short courses, but still I'm expected to be mobilizing resources for the university. So I cannot then do it on my own. So through industry, through your suggestions, I think maybe the university can also then encourage its lecturers to also be able to practically impart skills to the learners. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we can have discussions or further discussions on this matter over lunch, and let us go to our second last presentation, which is from Mr. Matura and Mrs. Takaza from the GZU Great Zimbabwe University. And their title is Profiling Millennials as Laborers for Source in the Tourism Industry, Implications for Zimbabwe. Thank you, Ms. Matura. Can we just clap hands for him as he comes down?
Good morning, good afternoon. I think it's after 12 now. How are you? I'm really delighted to be in front of you. Let me say all protocols observed. My name is Fanos Matura from Great Zimbabwe University School of Hospitality, Tourism and Culture, the university of choice. Thank you for that. Well, change is the only constant thing under the sun, and the only way to remain relevant and also to remain successful is to adapt to change. So our study looked at the profile of millennials as a labor for source for the tourism industry, implications for Zimbabwe. When I was listening to the discussions, the issue of high unemployment is coming out, and there is the issue of, within the industry, there is also high labor turnover. There is also the issue of demotivation. So we decided to look at the profile of this new generation called millennials. And that is my presentation outline, from introduction through to methodology to findings, implications, and conclusions. For decades, the tourism industry has been relying on baby boomers and what is also called the Generation X. The baby boomers are persons who were born after the Second World War, from 1945 to 1969. Then you have the Generation X, that were persons born from 1970 to 1979. Then the millennials are the persons who were born from 1980, according to several scholars, to 2000. To mean, if we look at that generation of millennials, the youngest millennial is a teenager, around 19 years, 18, 19 years. Then the oldest millennial currently is around 39. To mean, most of the people in this good and marvelous auditorium are within that generation. So there is need to look and get to understand the characteristics of this generation, such that there could be an alignment or a fit between what the millennials are, their expectations, their behaviors, the characteristics, and their attitude towards work versus what the industry, in terms of the hotels, the lodges, the airlines, in terms of the working environment and the jobs that they are providing. The objective, of course, to come up with the specific characteristics of this generation, the millennials, and also give or identify the implications for the tourism industry employers so that we can have a successful industry. And the significance of the study being to provide vital information which can help into the sustainable development of the tourism industry. In terms of the literature review, 47% of the active working population are the millennials, and this is the core source of the labor force for the industry. So there is need to know the characteristics in detail of the generation, of millennial generation, so that the industry can adapt to the needs and behaviors and attitudes of the industry. So that maybe the high labor turnover within the industry can be to some extent addressed. Maybe the challenge why, the reason why there's so much high labor turnover could be as a result of a misfit between what the millennials expect versus what the industry is offering in terms of the working environment as well as the jobs. So the millennials, because of the environment in which they grew up of rapid technological changes, a different economic and political environment, they are different from the Generation X and even from the baby boomers. They grew up under technology, under the internet economy. So there is need to understand their characteristics so that the industry can provide relevant conditions. In terms of the methodology that we adopted a qualitative design approach, and the document analysis was our data collection method in which we had to search, identify, review, and examine journal articles, institutional and trade literature via Google and Google Scholar, and the data was analyzed thematically, following dominant themes. And in terms of the findings, those are the characteristics of the millennials. They are academic achievers. This generation, at a minimum, they have a college qualification. And they seek to go higher. They pursue higher education. They keep on going. And within that generation, after their college certificate, they go for the degree, they go for their masters, and they even pursue much higher qualification. Then there's the issue, they are social media creatures. As I am presenting right now, we are, or most of us, the millennial, the students, and some of the people are on WhatsApp right now, they are on Facebook. They cannot live without social media. So that is one of their key characteristics. They are also self-confident because when they were growing up, their parents looked after them very well, and they pampered them, and they kept telling them that you are the best, you are my best child, I love you, and I will always support you. So they are very confident and optimistic. It's a diverse generation because they went to school, they went to college, they managed to interact with different people. So they are susceptible to different cultures. They need constant feedback. They need to be told, are they doing well or they are not doing well? Which is very, very important. Again, they require work with meaning. Maybe that's the reason, maybe in the industry, there is a complaint that some they tend to even run away from jobs because maybe they feel that the jobs lack a meaningful contribution to their well-being. And sometimes they are not committed. Maybe it's because of that. Then again, they are community and environmentally minded. They love the community. They want to see their community growing. They require work and life balance. They also prefer a casual work environment. They also love teamwork. Maybe we saw when they were dancing here, when they were singing the university choir. We saw the teamwork. They seek mentorship. They love to be taught, to be shown the direction that they must take. So those are that's the profile. Then let us look at the implication now. What the industry needs to do so that they can be a fit between the millennial generation and what the industry can offer them. The tourism employers need to undertake corporate social responsibility to get into the community and help the community get better. Especially when we look at the issue of the green issues. I'm happy now we have a national cleanup campaign every first Friday of every month. So the millennials, they also look to understand or to identify which organizations are also participating in such kind of activities of cleanup campaigns, but they want to be associated with such organizations. They also need managers who are mentors, not bosses. So this traditional baby boomer way of doing things, of bossing people or staff around, they don't like it. That's the reason why in the industry there is a concern that they are stubborn. Sometimes it's not stubbornness. They want mentorship instead of being bossed around. They also, the issue of communication is very important. They want to get information and to get the relevant information at the right time. And the issue of constant and instant feedback is very vital as well from this study. When they do things or when they do a task, the millennial generation expect to get a comment, whether positive or negative, but they like the comment, and they like the comment instantly. Not to say I will tell her or him at the end, at the appraisal time. And in terms of appraisal, in the industry there is this traditional way of appraising employees at the end of the year, annual appraisal. But the millennial generation, they prefer, if it's possible, daily or weekly appraisals, because they want to know where they are going. They don't want to wait until the end of the year for them to be told that you were doing wrong, or you got 60% or you got 40%. They want instantly after the completion of the task to be told right away, this is right, this is not right, correct here, correct there. And the issue of technology in the industry, the employers also need to strive to offer free Wi-Fi at the workplace. Because they are social media creatures, they are digital natives. They always want to remain connected. And when you want to easily connect or find a millennial, go online. If you try to find them at their physical address, you'll be wasting your time. Go online, search them on their Instagram, on their WhatsApp, on their Facebook. You'll be able to get in touch with them. But if you say I want to board a bus and go to Mavugu to get to talk to Tafara, you'll find Tafara not there. Because they stay online. Thank you very much. So make the job fun and enjoyable. That is very, very important. And the issue of training, remember they are higher academic achievers. So they need continuous training so that they keep on improving. Then provide opportunities for career growth. That is very, very important. And also provide work-life balance. Maybe you can form a band at let's say, at a hotel, which incorporate the staff. So that, and also they like this issue of flex time, where they can get an opportunity to work from home. They like it very much. If they are given that opportunity, I concur with Dr. Marunda when she said, I'm not concerned about what time somebody checks in, but are they being productive? So if there is possible to offer work which can be completed at home, better do so, because that's what the millennial generation like, and they will respect you for that. instead of standing by the gate. What time have you checked in and checking on the logbook? Sometimes it may not work. Thank you very much. Then in conclusion, we say millennials are different. And they think and act differently from all the generation before them. And the tourism employers, they need to adapt and also to do something so that there is meaningful work and the working conditions are perfect, and also reduce high labor turnover. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for, I think the applause will come from the students. I think most of the applause. Thank you very much for that enlightening presentation. And I think, let me again invite some questions before we go into our last presentation or comments.
Thank you. My name is Blessing Mchenji once again. Mr. Matura, are we not having a fear of eventually getting to an extent of having all jobs supposed to be done online? And if it is going to be done like that after the extinction of Generation X, Y, and baby boomers, who will take over the traditional activities that we've been doing which do not require online operation?
My name is Winnie again from Tourism Business Council. Mine is a comment. I wanted to say that the issue of millennials should not be underplayed at all. It is a very serious issue, and it could be one of the reasons why the graduates that we are churning out are not fit for industry. Because the millennials are coming to industry where I'm from a different generation and a different way of doing things. And we have to find common ground somewhere of how we can work together. Because if I'm expecting a millennial to sit in the office the whole day from 8 to 5, they'll be bored to death. But I'm coming from a generation where work was supposed to be like that. But you're now having to work with people that are hyperactive, if I can call it that. And they want to be doing things and wanting to do them differently. So as much as the millennials have to adapt to working with people from an older generation, the older generation also needs to step forward or step down and be able to work with millennials. Thank you.
Yeah, once again, my name is Mutiso Stewart, Director, Zimbabwe Youth in Tourism. Mr. Matura, how are millennials influence marketing and product development in tourism? Thank you.
My name is Peter Sai from University of Zimbabwe. Yes, I hear my young brother. My question is, are we not overly being too simplistic and too sympathetic with the young people? We should reckon the fact that we need a well-planned process to transfer into this millennium saga. Otherwise, as Madam Mchenji is saying, we will have a big breakdown. So what suggestions are offered by Ms. Matura to ensure that there is no complete breakdown, to ensure that there is some sort of a proper transition into the new kind of thinking.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. My name is Tawanda Mnamba from Zimbabwe Tourism Authority. wonderful about millenniums, but just to concur a bit with Madam Change, I'm of the suggestion that probably the millennium should come up with I was almost saying their own industry in terms of tourism. My point being that I'm just wondering the nature of the tourism as it stands currently, where someone needs to be served food, and they're wondering, so how do you send it on online or on social media? So we probably don't need to restrict them, but they can offer some new industry in terms of tourism, because not everyone will be a manager. Some will need to be hands-on, but so either they choose to belong to the industry. In any case, it's by choice to belong to the industry, and then they conform. Probably Mr. Matura can also give us some more guidelines. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My question is, my name is Sibongile, a student of tourism and hospitality UZ. My question is, if we involve the millenniums, like if we give them free Wi-Fi on the job, are they going to produce the product that we want, we as the tourism industry? Because there is no way a student is going to do a perfect job wall list on Instagram or doing something using Wi-Fi.
Instagram is now emotified.
Okay, thank you. That's what it takes.
Hello, I think there is mismatch when it comes to the digital world and innovation. We talk about digital world and campaign and advertise about digital. We need to incorporate the millennium and the what and the old age. How do we incorporate what works when we bring in the digital and what does not work? And how best can we come up with a digital marriage innovation system that can be applied to fit in every industry that we have as a country? If we say we cannot incorporate the millennium, it means that we are confusing ourselves as educators. We are confusing ourselves when we are saying we are bringing innovation. Innovation works with digital. Digital works with all these other Wi-Fi's, what for the purpose of research. So we have to look at the way how we can come up with a digital world with innovation. If it is done in Japan, if it is done in China, if it is done in America, why not we? And we have to separate where there is need labor, where there is need those technological aspects, implementation, where there is need this innovation. Rather than just say, no, you can't cook just because you are on Wi-Fi. For that person to produce a better meal, that needs to be said and make sure they add better quantities and they produce the right product. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Chidom China from Delight Travel and Tours. First, I wanted to ask, may you please return the title of the first slideshow? As well as, I would like to say that we as an upcoming generation, we're a new generation whereby things are forever changing. The tourism industry is forever changing, and millennials have that updated information. They help in marketing in the sense that we keep up with the trends in tourism. We keep up with what's going around in the world. For example, millennials actually have access to the information fast. That's what I'm trying to say. Forgive my pronunciation. They have access to information very quickly. They help us in the tourism industry in the sense that we keep updated with the international market. So at the end of the day, you'd say that Wi-Fi actually helps us to benefit in the sense that we're always updated. We as a country won't be left behind with the up-changing market in the tourism industry as a whole. Thank you.
I think, yeah, we are gravitating towards lunch. Maybe we could have some more questions after the last presentation, so that at least we are through with the presentation. So, Mr. Matura, if there are any questions which you think you want to respond to, but if there are comments, we are listening. Maybe before Mr. Matura, the last one, since you had already been given the mic.
All right. Maybe I don't need to introduce myself again. I think you said profiling, and I expected you to profile. What generally came was a description, and I expected maybe you did a survey or somewhere where you could now cluster these and you related them to Zimbabwe, which goes with my observation that most of the pictures which were showing they are white people, and then it doesn't quite resonate with who we are. Well, I acknowledge that you seem to be advocating for working smart. We are the generation who were taught to work hard. So I think I would expect you to give maybe just a comment between on working hard and working smart, how that works. I think we've demonstrated that they can. Whether they work smart, really, I doubt. Then you also raised the issue of the assessment that they want to be assessed there and then. What's the scope for creating new tools where they can be also assessed instantly? And also there are ethical issues. I think in my department we're talking about visiting students for attachment can be a challenge. Why can't we have some smart something which we can assess them where they are? But it was raised that, well, we may try that, but some of them can actually cheat to be on attachment. They can create an environment which looks like an attachment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can we just respond?
Thank you very much for the comments and the questions. I'm actually happy because when you see so many comments and questions coming up, it shows that you are quite relevant. Let me begin with the last from esteemed Professor Chirisa. The issue of pictures, the tourism industry, if you look at that, profiling millennials as the labor force source in the tourism industry. The profile was actually from an international perspective, then trying to bring down the implication to Zimbabwe. Because, so the pictures are illustrative, and most of them, they were cross-cultural, where you had to see blacks, white, mingling and working together. Then the issue of assessment tools, yes, it's ongoing, Prof. You can also research on that. How then can we practicalize the issue of coming with an instrument for instant evaluation? But evaluation can come also in the form of comments. Because within the research, from the baby boomer way of doing things, sometimes the manager can see and keep quiet. See that the employee is doing good and just keep quiet. But now, the millennial generation, if they're doing well, tell them. There is nothing better than a thank you. Good. This is very right. I see when I give a star to my ECD child after doing some homework, if I give him 2 stars, he'll be very happy. So that star, that way to say you are good, it's wonderful. Thank you. Then the issue of marketing, the issue from Miss Muchenje, of saying, you are saying our jobs will grow because of online. The issue is the industry will always remain labor intensive. But we need to incorporate the issue of digitalization in our workspace. And if it means, let's say from the marketing department, given that the millennials are always online, can they not be online brand ambassadors for our hotels? Because they're always connected on Facebook. Can they not be brand ambassadors for what? For our hotels and do marketing? And our ratings will be very good on TripAdvisor or all other these internet booking platforms. In terms of marketing, Director Mtizwa, surely that's another research that we are carrying out as well. But let me say there are so much opportunities in terms of marketing to the millennials. Remember, we say they love their community, they love the environment. To me, in terms of whatever we do as the tourism industry from the supplier side, we need to incorporate the issue of green issues, the issue of sustainable and ecotourism practices, so that we can appeal to them. The issue is about having a common ground approach, as Ms. Mchwanyika said, because it's about getting that compromise. Because the real truth is, the baby boomers and the Generation X, they are around 60, 70, 50. To me, they are also getting out. They are on their exit points. They won't be there in the next 10 years. So if we do not adapt, we will die. Thank you very much, Nisho.
Thank you very much for the threat. So that at least we may question ourselves here and there. I see that we are almost towards 1 o'clock, and I'm made to believe that lunch is ready. So I think I have the privilege to alter 1 or 2 things. My suggestion is that we go for lunch while it is hot, and there's also one presentation in the afternoon which has been cancelled, which is okay. So when we come back, we then do this last one we were supposed to do now, and then we proceed with the rest that we planned for the day. Now, over lunch, I think you need to talk. Yeah, a few points which I noted, which you might want to discuss around for the 5 presentations that I have chaired here. One, they may not be in